showing on one of y'all let me know when it's showing on the Facebook end. Not the Facebook end, but the YouTube end. All right, hold on.
Yeah, we're good on YouTube.
You good on YouTube? All right, let me count down, and I'll.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.
All right. First, I want to say peace and Black African power. Welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. ETM Hotel. Dua Aku, Dua Nature, Fatmu Lafayette, Fatmu Riwi, Fatmu Iwa Pele, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Gungun, Majuba Iba E Lagba, Majuba Iba E Lagba, Egungun, Kiki Egungun. I always want to give honor and praises to the ancestors because without the ancestors, we wouldn't be here. We are our ancestors. I also want to stand honor and praises to the true and living elders according to African traditions and from an African worldview. Again, like I said, welcome back to Kofi Piesie TV. We have another great interview on author perspective with a great author, great entrepreneur, great CEO. We have the team on the panel. We have Brother Vasa Nicolo Gullah. We have Sutek Akandi, Uyani Olawai, and Brother T'Challa Bangara. Brothers, y'all can mute your mic, man, to speak before we get the show started.
Yeah, peace to everybody. Share like you got me, Bawoni. It's your brother Sue Tech. Peace and greetings. We appreciate y'all for coming through this Sunday for another episode of Author's Perspective. Make sure y'all like and share the show. We're about to get in with our brother Cliff Roy. We appreciate you for joining us today too, brother. And hopefully we'll have a great interview and a good discussion. Make sure y'all like and share the show.
Peace to everybody that's viewing in the chat and on the various on YouTube and Facebook. Peace to the brothers on the panel. Really appreciate y'all rocking with us. Like I say all the time, we go live, y'all be in the chat. Those same few names we always call out, always having dialogue. We really appreciate it. Got a real brilliant mind on the panel today. Another hard-working brother out here on the grind. So let's see what our brother, what's to him, what's his story, and let's get into it, fam. It's gonna be a good show. Like and share.
Peace, everyone. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. We hear you.
Yeah, we hear you, boss.
Peace, everyone. Peace to the listening audience and audience that will be listening in the future. Peace, brother Cliff. This is my first introduction to meeting this author, and very interested and can't wait to see how this discussion goes.
You're muted, Kofi.
All right, I said let me share my screen real quick, and then we'll jump into the interview. I always have to do this at the beginning of the show. Again, please like and share the show. If this is your first time on Kofi Piesie TV, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you're on the Facebook, and because we're streaming from Facebook and we're streaming from the YouTube channel, please like and share and tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend about the show. Y'all let me know when my screen is sharing. Can y'all see the screen?
Yep.
All right. Hold on. Let me do this too. All right. Okay. 1 second. All right. All right. Again, like I said, welcome back. This is another show, Author Perspective. We have our good brother Cliff Roy, who is our author and like I said, an entrepreneur. On this platform here, this is one of our phrases as I learn, we all learn. This is something that we stand by over here on Kofi Piesie TV and Mossy Warrior Clan YouTube channel. Also, we must produce more writers. On this show here, this is our mantra over here. We must produce more writers. We must produce more writers. This is very important. And today's show, we always dedicate the show to an author, whether they're amongst the living or they're deceased with the ancestors. So I'm not going to say most of every show we have had so far, it has been dedicated to an ancestor, someone who is deceased, someone who is now in the Egungun. So today we're going to dedicate the show to George G. James. George G. James is the author of the great work Stolen Legacy. It was published in 1954. It has been revised. I can't tell you how many times this book has been revised. So a lot of times you see the book, it has a lot of different book covers because it has been revised by different authors. And for those that may not know George G. James, he was also a historian. So again, I want to say Majuba Ibe, George G. James, Majuba Ibe, George G. James. All right. Now, this is a proverb that we always talk about on this show before we get started too. This is until the lion learns how to write, every story will glorify the hunter. This meaning that this African proverb, meaning that until the oppressed class learns how to read, write, or communicate with the world outside, the world will never know their viewpoint. The world will always believe in the influential hunter who modifies their tales, talks about the glories, which might just be an illusion. When a hunter goes for a hunt, he can come back and tell 1,000 tales about how bravely he fought the lion and killed he. However, the truth might that he, backstabbed the lion and killed him without any iota of resistance. This is why it's very important for us to produce more writers that look like us, so we can tell our stories from our viewpoint, from our world view, from our perspective, from our lenses. Also, real quick, authors. Just want to give working definitions of what authors is. Authors. This is from the etymology dictionary. Author, father, creator, one who brings about, one who makes or creates someone or something. From the Old English, author, originator, creator, and investigator. So you always hear me talk about authors as being creators. Also, you hear me talk about authors being, excuse me, being producers. Author, a write a book, a article, a writer of a book, excuse me, a author, article or a report. So one can be considered an author if they write articles, which that's where most of us started out before we started writing books, was writing articles or reports. Writers, Old English writer, one who can write, clerk, one who produces books or literary compositions, ages, nouns for write-on. Um, a writer is a person who uses written words and different styles and techniques to communicate ideals, write, produce different forms of literature. The word produce again, literature, arts, and creative rights such as novels, short stories, books, poetry, plays, screenplays, teleplays, songs, essays, and as well as other reports and new articles that may be interested in the public. Writer texts and publish across ranges of media. Skilled writers who are able to use language to express ideals, wills, and contribute significance to the cultural context of the society. Again, peace to everybody in the chat. Again, please like and share the show. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen real quick. Let me come back over here. All right, so let's get into the interview. Brother Cliff, I have bunch of questions. I got my papers right here. I got a bunch of questions. Some of the brothers on the team also will be having some questions for you as well. But first, man, again, welcome, man, to Author's Perspective, man. We greatly appreciate you, man, for coming on the platform today. Can you real quick introduce yourself for those that might not know who Clifford Roy Jr. is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, first and foremost, I appreciate it. Any platform that I'm able to grace with a bunch of black brothers or sisters is always an honor to do that. So thank y'all for having me on. Originally, I'm from Lafayette, Louisiana, a veteran, business owner, author, speaker. Pretty much whatever I decide I want to be that day is what I'm going to be. And what I decided to do is I own a company called Penn Publishing Agency, in which we do a little bit of everything that supports any type of black business entrepreneur, author, and we're not in their endeavors to publicize whatever body of work they have.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about your company, Penn Publishing, a little bit in the interview too, because that's definitely going to be an important part of the conversation, which we have been talking about. Like some of the things that you offer. We try to explain some of those things briefly during the show, especially for those that are trying to be authors and be business savvy and trying to market their intellectual property and etc. But we're gonna definitely get in there. For every author that comes on the show, Cliff, we also ask them before we get started in the interview to name a few of their favorite authors. So if you have any, could you name a couple of your favorite authors?
And I'm probably ancient, man. Robert Greene is definitely one of my favorite. Sun Tzu, The Art of War is probably one of my favorite books. I pulled a lot of information out of that book. I practice principles. John Maxwell, pretty good. I love his writing style, simplicity of it. It's another author. And just about anybody local, man. I love the local people. I love writing. Sean, I might be biased because we're cool. Sean P. Love the way he writes and communicates. That's the short list. I dibble and dabble a little bit of everybody. I don't discriminate. I'm unbiased. If it's written well and communicates effectively, then it's my favorite usually.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into the first question, man. What got you into writing, and how long you've been writing?
Man, unpublished, unseen, unheard writing for a long time, man. Since I've been in high school. Then I would say more formalized. What got me into writing was there's a young lady that has Pearly Gates Publishing, and she writes these series of books. In which she says, battle scar free, for people who've been through some type of traumatic experience and recovered testimonies of abuse survivors, and she contacted me and asked me would I be willing to write my testimony inside of her book, and I was like, yeah, sure. And I wrote a segment inside of her book, being very transparent, and it caught a lot of attention, and that kind of was the bug that kind of bit me. Once I seen that actually published in the book, and man, that was it. I was like, that's what really triggered me to start writing, is just seeing my own work and my own words published in someone else's collection at that time.
Okay, okay.
And that's probably about 4 or 5 years back.
About 4 or 5 years back. Okay. And that sparked you to start putting your own pen to paper and producing your own publications.
Yeah, that's what did it. Prior to all of that, and I'd write poetry. Used to be, used to do some hip hop. Used to write in the hip hop. There's always writing for me. I'm one of those people. I used to write and throw stuff away a lot of time. It's just kind of a way to express myself, get the words out.
Okay.
But formal writing, probably about 5 years ago.
Okay. Now, before we get into, both of your publications, what is Cliff Roy Jr.'s process? Because like I said, over here we try to educate. We try to educate over here. It's about the author. It's about their publications, but it's also about helping and inspiring those that may be watching this that don't know how to put a book together. You know what I'm saying? Right. How to start or what the process is. So we try to walk them through it too. And everybody has their own different processes, and we try to talk about various things for as public, which we're gonna get into when we talk about your books. But what is your process? What's your process like when you begin to write a book? What's your process?
My process is probably based on my upbringing. My dad was a carpenter, so my process is like building a house. So what I do is, the first thing I do is kind of look at what topic I want to talk about, and that leaves a broad range of things. So I come up with my title first, usually, and it may evolve, but I'm going to start off with some type of title just to give me a target. And then once I get that, then I go into my outline. I like to outline, about how many chapters I think I want, and how, and outline each topic. And that's creating boxes or rooms for me. And as I have those rooms created, I know that the thought process could be all over the place when you're busy doing life, and you get inspiration from anywhere. So I might have a list of topics I outline on my table of contents. And once I get that thought, the minute that thought comes to me, I go into that box and write. So I don't necessarily write in order. I write on inspiration. And then once I get all my boxes filled up, then I go back and I refine what I stated, and also determine, do I need this box, or is it too much for the reader, and add or remove boxes or topics or chapters. Once I get that done, then I go through the refining process, rewording it, seeing how I feel about it, because maybe I said it one way 2 months ago, and now I don't like the way it sounds, so I'll fix that. I'm very critical of myself. I might share a little bit with social media from the book, just to see if the interest is there on the topic. And then once I kind of got a feel for it, I don't want to overthink it. I lock it down, and then I go ahead and I start editing my book. Once I get the editing done, then I go into the formatting. How do I want it to look on the reader's eyes? What type of font I want to use? What kind of spacing I want to use? And then I get my book cover, and I just start piecing it together. And that's my basic process.
Okay. Is your books also, Cliff? Is your books easy reads for the, where what I mean by easy reads, whether it's a child or an adult, can read the book, or specifically target for a specific age range?
It crosses age range. I specifically make sure that my books are legible for just about anybody. Matter of fact, it's so legible. Two of the first people I gave a copy of my book was to my son and my daughter, because I wanted to make sure that they could read it. My son at the time, he was 12 years old, and my daughter was 14. Mm-hmm. So I want to make sure that they can read that. So usually your preteens can read the book all the way up to as old as they can come. So I try to make it easy to read. And that's inspired from John Maxwell. One thing about his writing, he takes a complex topic or statement and simplifies it so that the average person can understand what he's saying. So that's something I pull from that author that I always make sure when I'm writing. So I like to write short sentences. I don't like run-on sentences and long sentences. I like to just get to the point so that everybody can comprehend it.
Okay. So you'll get out, and before we get into both of your publications, Get Back Up, the first step toward your destiny, which was published in 2008, and If a Giraffe Can Do It, So Can I. It was published in 2019. If I am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. These two publications, where did you go through a publishing? Before we move and talk about this, I want to talk about publishing versus self-publishing. If you did you go through a publishing company for either one of your books, or you self-published both of your publications?
I did the self-publishing through Lulu is what I used when I did my first book. Of course, they allow you to do your own publishing. Of course, they still get credit for some of the things they're doing, depending on the services you deal with them. But I couldn't. I just put everything together. I mean, from the cover to cover, everything is me. I didn't have anybody's input. It was just pretty much put it together, load it up, and then run with it.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't normally like a publishing company that they specifically, you pay a fee or they pay you in advance money. They, go through the process of the book cover, exactly what the book gonna look like. Oh, so you didn't go through that specifically. Okay. Well, we don't even, and we just trying to explain, listeners. We just trying to, for those that may be just now watching the show, may not have watched any other episodes. We always try to talk about self-publishing versus publishing, just to give people an idea on whether they want to go through a publishing company, because there's different types of publishing companies, and different publishing companies offer different types of things. Like I said, you may have some that you may have to pay a publishing company, and it comes with a list of things that they'll do for you, and then it's another certain publishing company, they pay you advance money, and upfront, and it's a certain amount of sales that you have to reach that they want, you to obtain. Some publishing companies, you publish for a certain amount of time, and they pay you out, and anything after that, is their discretion to do whatever they want to do. If they put it into the schools or into the colleges, or they can revise it, they can do what they want to do, because now you have, you had it for a limited time. You actually saw, which that's a thing that I prefer people not to go into, where you go through a publishing company, and then after a specific time, they own your rights to your stuff because they bought you out, and they can do what they want to do, and they continue to make money and royalties off of it. And you don't. So self-publishing, do you believe that self-publishing is the way to go for those that may be trying to write and produce and create some content, some intellectual property?
100%, man. I'm all everything you just said is exactly right. I was totally aware of all those different systems, and my thing was I wanted control. I wanted total control of how this was, the timeline. I didn't want the pressure. In when I have control, I can learn. So I didn't want to go through some company that was going to mandate how to do this and that, because when they're doing that, YouTube is responding and not learning the game. So I wanted to go through this process to learn what it took to get a book out there, and was I capable, with the intent that I was going to be helping people in the future when I did my book, because that's how I am. I like to master something and then teach it to somebody else. And I chose that route because I wanted total control. I didn't want somebody telling me what they thought would be best when I could research and learn on my own and conversate with other people who've been down that road. And I'm not saying everybody should do what I did. You also got to have the creative ability to do the stuff on your own too, because sometimes if you just have thoughts in your head and you don't have the ability or the technical, you're not tech savvy and handling stuff on your own, then you might need that publishing company. So that's what you be spending your money on. But if you have some basic skills and you can handle this on your own, I'd tell the average publisher, look, do it 100% self-publishing. And if you can't do it, find somebody to help you self-publishing rather than going self-publishing. That's just my take on that.
Right. I agree with you totally, man. And your books is, and matter of fact, look, before we even talk about that, let's deal with your company, because I want to talk about your company. Like when you're dealing with, so I want to ask, is marketing okay? Is marketing is a necessity when it comes to you self-publishing, correct?
Yes, it's absolute necessity. Is the it's probably the missing ingredients in someone's book really going where they envision it going. It's just not understanding marketing and how important it is to what you're doing. Marketing it's the voice of your work. It speaks, it's telling, it's making everybody know. It's part of publishing, and I don't think people get that. Is if I have a stack of books next to me and I never tell someone, hey, I have a book for sale, then you'll never sell that many books. And marketing is that voice. It's like, how you want to tell people this, and you got to master it. And it's a hard. Look, marketing is not easy at all. So you really, if you don't know anything about marketing, you really got to get with somebody who understands marketing, because marketing is about generating the attention you need to make sure people are aware of what you have, and then the rest is about sales after that.
Right, that's correct. So let's talk a quick, man, about your company, man, Pen Publishing Agency, man, and y'all offer a lot of a lot of things: book publishing, website designs, logos, printed designs, social media, bookstores, and more. And this is something that a lot of people, that's why I asked about the marketing. This is something that you definitely will have to have. Just going back real quick, with us, we are all newly authors. We just started putting out books earlier this year. We have what, 6 publications out. We put out 6 publications in the last 10 months. And starting out, this is some of the things that we had to have, just to look professional, and people kind of take us seriously. The website designs, we went through and we got a website. We had to have a website because we definitely understood with the website when we talk about self-publishing. We'll get back to self-publishing because I want to talk to people about and let you talk about far as the royalty sides when it comes to the self-publishing. Well, we can website. So for those that's listening, a website, advise you, to create a website. And I'll tell you why in a minute about a website when we go back to self-publishing and we go to talking about royalties. Logos, what I'm saying? If you have a certain company that you have that you're gonna go, hold on, get your lamps on. Logos, your logo also offers that. I mean, your company also offers logo designs. My son, I love you. So a lot of these things, social media thing, you have to, that's a part of marketing as well, different social media outlets. Your company offers that as well. Print designs, all types of stuff. So these are something that you have to have. So your company, man, like is a basically one-stop shop, as the website says, especially for those that may be, trying to come into it. You kind of, I guess you kind of, you give them a lot of information and you direct them, I guess in a way to go. So talk about your company a little bit, what I'm saying, for the people that may not know about Pen Publishing Agency. I wish we would have knew about it back in January, man, but because we had to go through so many different people to do so many different things, and your website is, you get it all done on this one website. You don't have to go through
right.
So yeah, talk about your company, man.
So to understand the company is to understand the definition of publishing, right? Traditionally, when you say publishing, people only think about books. That's all they think about. And the true art of being a publisher is to make something publicly known. That's what you're doing. Pushing it publicly is what you're doing. And when I start looking at the development of getting information out, a long time ago, you go back into history, you got hieroglyphics or logos, or the logos following that, right? Logo was a part of it. The symbolism was a part of it. So I was like, one way you knew who was by the symbols that they had. They were publicizing that this is mine or this belongs to us. So logos became part of what I do. I like graphics, I like designs, I like the symbolism of logos. Then we turn around and we start looking, of course, traditional, writing it on paper. We move from just symbols to writing words. So getting onto a book. Then you fast forward into technology. technology now puts you in a position where you don't only make symbols, you don't only write words, but you could broadcast. That stuff didn't exist hundreds of years ago. Now you can put it on video, you can see motion. Like the old saying goes, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I would say, well, how much is a video? Because if it's a picture worth 1,000 words, the video is worth 1,000,000. And all of this is done in the art of publicizing whatever your ideas are, which the focus of our company is to publish your ideas for the world to experience. So I realized, what are all the different dynamics about publicizing somebody's ideas and thoughts? And that's when we start looking at, okay, logos, graphics, audio is something else we'll be adding to it too. You know, so we're doing audio books. We do professional speaking. Sometimes it's good to speak. Websites is a way to tap into the World Wide Web and let people know who you are. Social media is a place where everybody's located at. So I figure if we're going to really be a publishing agency, we have to look at all the different components of publishing to give people options. And also not only options, but to educate them on how you should properly devise a plan to make your work known to the audience that you have chosen to actually reach at that time. So the company is surrounded, which, you know, I always laugh and joke, it says the intention is to become the Walmart of publishing, which means that we want everybody who's an entrepreneur, author, business person that has the idea of publicizing something to be able to go one place. Because the challenges that we found and our peers found was, I got to talk to Henry for this, got to talk to Susan for that, I got to talk to Chris for this, and I'm working at the same time, managing my house and my family. I can't keep up with all these people. Oh man, Henry, you messed me over. Now I got to go find another Henry. So it's like, what if we had one place to hold accountable? You know, if your product is messed up at Walmart, you don't call the company, you don't call Frito-Lay. You take it right back to Walmart, and Walmart takes care of that for you. So we want to make it easier, because if we make it easier for the person with the thought or the vision, then they can get more work out. They can actually, you know, get things done, and it's all simplified and consolidated in one place versus, you know, it took them 2 years to get it done because they didn't know who to talk to. They had to deal with 4 or 5 different people. One place, let us take care of it. Let us deal with all that rigmarole and that hassle and find the right people to help you out. And all you got to worry about is just putting out work.
Man, because like I say, and his website is in the description below as well. You know, like I said, I wish we would have knew 8 to 10 months ago, because we had to go through different people for certain things. And like I say, your place is, man, it's a one-stop shop, man. You can get everything done right there. Now going back, you know, you build websites from scratch, huh? You build a company, okay, you build website, and I'm talking about websites, you know, if, you know, and it the website is very important when it comes to housing your own intellectual property on there. Because let's go back and let's talk about self-publishing again for a minute, Cliff. Now, your books is in Barnes and Nobles, your books is in Books of Millions, and it's also on Amazon.com. But let's talk about Amazon.com, and then you can actually, you know, walk the audience through, if they want to try to get in some of these bookstores, what the steps they would have to take in order to get their books in the bookstore. Because well, let's just talk about the Amazon real quick. Now, going back to the self-publishing. Now, your books is on majority of everybody that I think we interviewed, their books has been on Amazon. A lot of them started out not with publishing companies, then they ventured over to self-publishing and went through Amazon, KDP, Amazon. And when we talk about this a lot, you know, and for those that are trying to self-publish, it costs nothing to self-publish. And once you begin to you start to self-publish, and a lot of people go through Amazon because we know Amazon is kicking butt everywhere. It's busting tail everywhere, you know. So when you go through Amazon, they have something where you get royalties, right? And it's a 60-40 split. And I want to we say this every time because I want people to understand when they go through self-publishing, they go to Amazon, what they get themselves into when they go through Amazon. Amazon does a 60-40 split. Amazon gets 60%, you get 40%, which I say, well, you don't even get 40% because, well, it may be when you're doing the KDP, versus the books. When you're doing books, they charge you for their ink, they charge you for their paper. So it just all depends on how big your text is, which is gonna, let you know exactly how much your author's copy is gonna be, which is at a wholesale price. But the thicker the book, the more pictures, color, all this have to come into place in order for it, in order for you to know exactly what you're looking at as far as your author price is on the books. You get them at the wholesale price, and the wholesale price is very important for you to get when I'm saying you starting a website. Am I correct? Because when you starting a website, now you getting 100% of your intellectual property now versus you getting a 60 and 40 split. Your book may be $20 on Amazon. You may not see but $9 or $6 in royalties off of it. Yeah, if that. Plus the printing costs for them to print how many of copies that you trying to get. That's why I say you don't get a 60-40 split. So is it very important? Am I right in exact?
Man, you exact. Amazon probably hate me for what I'm about to say, but if you want to lose money, is Amazon, bro. I'm gonna just say this: the math you said is exactly right. Is Amazon is gonna hit you every which way but loose. When it comes to fees, a new author can't afford to take that kind of hit because you don't have the capital gain to move your product before millions of people. Because what people don't know is Amazon's not advertising for you; it's just available on Amazon. So they're gonna hit you with everything you said. They're hitting you for the cost of the print book, but people forget they're gonna hit you for shipping too. So they're hitting you in your pockets. They splitting all those fees and they're eating you alive, and you might come away on a $20 book with $6. So let's just do some basic math. Let me knock it down to $5. Worst case scenario, right? So if I sell a $20 book, in order for me to make the money that I should make, I have to sell 4 books. Do that math. Versus on my website, I sell 1. So it makes the author work harder to make money to put back into the project to grow themselves, which is why there's a bunch of people who have books on Amazon, but the book didn't go anywhere. It didn't sell because you ran out of money because Amazon's taking it. So you never catch up. Even to make the money it costs you to spend just for your time alone putting your book together. So I'm not, and I did it. When I first went through, I didn't go through KDP, the company Lulu. I paid them. What I did, I deliberately spent money to pay them to see their marketing routes, right? I wanted to see how this book was going to get out there. They put it on Amazon for me. And that was all kind of kickback about the title, the errors they made, blah, that I didn't like. I start seeing how Amazon function, how the profits come back. And basically, I didn't make much money from my books. The money I made was from selling the books myself. So I'm not a big, as far as if you want to get your book just to say it's on Amazon because it's an international platform, great, because I'll make a book, put it on Amazon, but I'm marketing it on my website. I'm driving people there because that's why I get the most profit. And when you make profit, you can reinvest into your endeavors or your next book. As far as your movement, but Amazon, man, it's a black hole for authors right now. There's a ton of them, and that's like I call Amazon the author's graveyard.
Yeah, and I want people, and that's why it's important. We're not trying to tell you don't go because our books are on Amazon,
right.
But we're trying to tell you that create your own property, start you a website, and this is another reason. Because it's better for you to patronize the author than go on to Amazon.com and purchase the book off Amazon.com. Now, right. we appreciate it either way. You drive into, you come into our website, or you pull it up on us if you're in our city, or you buying it off Amazon. Author first before you even try to go on to Amazon.com. And we trying to, we walking y'all through these things because we want y'all to know what y'all getting into when you start to when those that are interested in over the course of the last 8 to 10 months, we had to learn different things, man. So this show is to definitely educate people and get people prepared and show them how easy it is for them to, even publish and put a book out. So let's talk about real quick before we, brothers. Do y'all got anything before we go into both of his books? And I go into some more questions. Do y'all got any questions for Brother Cliff? And those that's in the chat, if you got any questions for Brother Cliff in the chat, in the chat, let us know. And I want to come back to, if the brothers got anything, I want to come back to the process before we go into your books, how to get their books into different stores if they wanted to get them into different stores. But anyone of y'all on the panel got anything for Brother Cliff before I move further with some more questions?
No, I ain't got nothing right now. I'm just I'm listening. It's a good conversation. I'm learning. So if I do have a question in the meantime, though, I'll jump in. Or if I see a question in the chat section, I'll make sure to get it to you.
All right. Any other brothers on the panel got a question for Brother Cliff?
Nah, so far, like Brother Sutek said, just, sitting back, listening to Brother Cliff's perspective. And it's always interesting. I just want to say how, since we've been doing the show, you got about 5 or 6 things that every author says, but then the unique aspect comes out in terms of why each author chooses to do things a certain way. Their personal experience with Amazon, like the brother just said, he paid, what was the company you paid?
Lulu, which is a self-publishing company.
Yeah, to see how they, gonna market this book. And, it's just interesting, the different routes that we can take as a research team and, as individuals.
And Kofi, I wanted to add this to it too. The disclaimer is, when you move into your own realm, when you start marketing yourself and you get your website, the trade-off is this: is now you have a workload to carry, because if you're stacking your books up and somebody's ordering books, now you have to be the person that's going to package and ship your books. So I don't want people to feel like, yeah, you just dump Amazon. If you don't have that in you, you don't have a team and you can handle that, then you're going to have to pay Amazon what they worth. But on the other side of it, if you would just write like my man Sean P gets orders, packages himself and ships, and he don't mind do that, but he maximizes his profit. But not everybody might have the time to do that. So keep those things in mind as well when you think about doing your own thing.
Right. That's very important. You heard what he said. That's very. So you have to, when you have to consider you're going to be responsible for shipping out your own packages, and you want to make sure you have great customer service as well, because we do it all ourselves, man. We ship everything. We ship everything out. And soon as they order. If they order before 4 o'clock, we shipping out the same day. If not, we ship out the next day. And you want to make your customer feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I try to email. If not email, I call personally, because on our website, once all the information, and that's something too, you make sure you get all your customer information. So we not only have the addresses to ship it out, but we have the email. We ask for the email. We ask for the cell phone number, and we do that so that the customer can feel more comfortable. So I always screenshot and send send them the tracking number, or I may call them personally, or I may either email them. So so take that in heed too, for those that may be trying to write some books or whatever it is that you're trying to sell. When you're shipping these things out, you make sure you have great customer service, and you make sure you make the customer feel comfortable, because it's a lot of people. We does that because there are a lot of people that are taking a lot of people money and they're not getting their product. So we try to go ahead.
And you said something that it's right on time. The other part is, keep in mind, if you're an author and you want to take that route where you're going to handle it yourself, you got to have the capital to buy books. That's the other thing that I think about. You have to, when I get done, it's like print per, how much per book. You have to have that money plus shipping, and you got to stockpile that book. And a lot of times I meet some authors who just have an idea, they want to write to get a book done. They haven't considered how many copies you want once your book is done. You want 200 copies. Well, it's going to cost you this. And they're not even thinking about that. Well, wow, hold on, I don't have that kind of money. Well, they end up buying 20 books, 30 books. So you have to keep all that math in mind. And that's where I'm really more business than anything else. I'm looking at the math. How much is it going to cost you to do the business that you plan to do? So a lot of my conversations with authors are very extensive on the business side of the house. Yeah, we're going to get to the vision, but if you don't plan out this business side, then your vision is going to stop right there at the end when your book is done.
That's correct. That's correct.
It sounded to be basically like the music industry, like
That perfect. Yeah.
versus major label.
Yes.
Like the major label, you go with the major label, which would be Amazon or a big publishing company like that. You getting the money, put up, you getting stuff put up for you, but you making less.
Yeah.
Versus if you're going independent, you might put up more of your own money and do a lot more of the work, but you're getting a lot more of the profit.
That's a fact.
That's it, man. Look, it's funny he said that. If you ask Sean, when I first started, I looked him in the face and said, we are going to be to authors what record labels are to artists, because those same principles apply, but I want to make sure that we can maximize the profit for them to grow, and that one day they can have their own thing. That's the difference. We want to storehouse everybody. We want to hold them and incubate them and then let them out there where they can actually get out there and do their own thing and teach them and just let us take over the whole map. You know, it ain't but 13% of us in the United States, so why can't we have more ground than we have now?
Right. That's a fact. So let's get into your first publication, man, and talk about real brief about your first publication. Get back up. No. And I keep stopping. Let's stop because we're gonna get in there. Let's go back to the steps. Let's go back to the steps for those that may want to try to get like your books is in Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million. Now, what are some of the steps for people to take if they want to get there? People that's already got books published, or people that that is in the process of creating. And can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Creating and then putting out, some on Amazon, but want to take it a little further and go through these other bookstores. What are some of the steps they should take?
Man, that's a million ways to skin a cat. I'm gonna tell you what I did. I refused to go through the red tape of the stores. You know, they want you to fill out these forms, and they got these requirements that your book cover might have to be a certain way. It's just a lot of steps. Each bookstore is different. So I chose to once I learned the rules, I'll try to find a way to bend them or break them. And that's what I did. What I figure is this: supply and demand drives every market. So I'm going to use grassroots. So what I did is I refused to go through the red tape and jump through the hoops because I wanted to get my book out there. I wanted to really focus on my book with Barnes and Noble. So I chose to tell my people, say, look, you can get the book with me, or you can go to Barnes and Noble and ask for it. And once enough people go into a Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or any bookstore asking for the same book, that store is going to get your book. They're going to find it and they're going to put it on the shelf and they're going to see how it sells. Once that one store, if it's a franchise store, gets the book on shelf, they have it in their inventory, it goes online. So I chose to just kind of backdoor them by having people go and says, go in there and ask for my book. Go in there and ask for my book. And next thing you know, Sean calls me and says, Cliff, you didn't do what you're supposed to do, but your book is on the shelf in Barnes and Noble. Great. Barnes and Noble got it. You don't think that Books A Million wants to compete with Barnes and Noble? So they start putting it in their stores. So I use marketing strategies, grassroots marketing strategies, subliminal messaging to move my product along. Now, is that going to work for everybody? I don't know. It depends on your aggressiveness when you're trying to get your book out there, and the team you got to go in and do that work for you. But I just told people, say, look, go ask for it. Just like going to the library. If there's not a book in the library, you ask the librarian for it. They say, let's get the name of the book and the author, and they'll order that book. So I use the same tactic to get into the bookstore. And that worked best for me. And guess what? It saved me a lot of money and heartache.
Okay. So let's jump on into get back up, the first step towards your destiny. Let's talk about your.
Can't hear you, cut out.
I think he dropped out. Okay, here you go.
I'm back, y'all.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know what happened right there, but yeah, let's. and explain why you name a.
You breaking up, Kofi. You might have to repeat that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad, man. I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, it was going in and out.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good right now. Keep talking over
All right, man. I don't know what's going on today, man. But public.
Let me lost Kobe.
Might want to put that voodoo spell on. Yeah, he might need to turn his camera off. Sean said. Give him a second to see if you got any questions on shit.
All right, I'm back, man. Can y'all hear me now?
So
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. Sorry about that, man. That's what you get when you get AT&T. But yeah, let's get into your first publication, man. Get back up. The first step towards your destiny, man. Explain to us or explain to the audience why you chose that name, and why you want to what was your process in creating this first text.
So the name was personally inspired and work environment inspired, man. I've been through hell in my life. I've been through a whole lot of stuff. I've been knocked down more times than I can count. And I realized that I'm not the only one. But I'm very resilient, and I learned a lot of lessons. I learned through failure. So I decided that my first book would be an encouraging book to remind anybody who had failed numerous times that they need to get back up and keep going. So when I wrote the book, I was keeping in mind everybody who had been divorced, going through grief, lost a job, lost a loved one, whatever they were dealing with, no matter how many times they lost, that they were going to be inspired. But I wasn't just going to tell them be better, get better, do better. I was going to give them some practical steps to bypass those emotional strongholds that were keeping them from doing better. So that inspired me to write the book. And what really drove it home for me was I worked in a mental health facility, and working in that mental health facility for 3 years, hearing the same story, seeing trends and patterns, it felt necessary to learn to tell people to get back up and keep going. And because every time you get up, you're just one step closer to your destiny. So that's how the title came out. And that was the whole inspiration behind the book, was that let me take all the lessons that I learned, practical lessons, and put it in a book. I mean, the book should have been way bigger than that, but I know that the reader's mindset going through a lot can only digest so much, so I condensed it down to something very simple and practical in that book.
You muted, Kofi.
My bad. Yeah. Your second publication. If a giraffe can do it, so can you. Explain the title and and the reason in your process in putting out this second publication. If a giraffe can do it, so can I. I know when Sean told me a while back before I even before we even did Keith and we were just talking. I think even before we did his show, before we did the first show, because Sean was our first interview for Author's Perspective. I think even before that, and he was telling me about you, and he was telling me about some of the local authors, and he mentioned that book. If a giraffe can do it, so can you. I was like, if a giraffe could do it, that kind of sparked my interest. I was going to order the book while I was talking to him on the phone that day, but I ended up forgetting about you know, or in the book, because that title was so catchy. And I want to know what this brother is actually talking about. So yeah, go ahead and explain the title, man, and why you created your second publication.
So I'm by nature a storyteller. So what I did every morning in the mental health facility is I told stories that resonated with the pain and suffering and things people went through, and were also inspiring on the back end. So one of the stories I would tell is about the zoologist's observation of a baby giraffe being born, right? And just to paraphrase it, is the baby giraffe is born, it falls from a high, 7, 8 feet high womb drop, hits the ground, and as it stands up after about 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the mother kicks it, and it looks like a strange thing. And this process of kicking, getting up, kicking, get up goes on 3, 4, 5 times. And at the end of it, the giraffe stands up and is able to roam with its parents. Now, giraffes are not heavily armored creatures. So when they're being preyed upon, their only thing is to run. So the mother giraffe, if you look from a distance at her process of teaching the baby giraffe, what she's doing, it looks horrendous. Why would a mother abuse their child? Why would they kick them every time they get up? And the parallel is sometimes it feels like life and the people around us are doing that to us. But what we don't realize, the mother giraffe understands the pain and the suffering and the trials that baby giraffe is going to go through just being a giraffe. And as it runs, and if it happens to stumble and fall, the only option it has to is to get back up. So that giraffe has to learn that lesson as soon as it's born. So when I wrote the book, I'm sitting there thinking about all the things that we as human beings go through, all the pain and suffering and struggling that we go through. And here it is, an animal that runs on 4 legs with elongated limbs and falls down, and they realize that sometimes it's in your best interest just to learn the art of getting up before you make your next step. So in my mind, I'm like, well, if a giraffe can do that, why can't we? Why can't we have that mentality? So I think the human's mind is much more sharper than a giraffe, and they understand in order to survive, you have to get back up. So that's why I wrote that short book, because it was one of the stories that I told in the facility.
Okay, man. Yeah, all right. I like that. I like that.
Hey,
Go ahead, T'Challa.
yeah, I want to comment on that, brother, because as one who practices, the bit of African culture that I can by way of West Africa with the music, playing djembe, brother, it is very much like it's this constant, it's like a pain thing that we have, like this pain threshold we got to get over to harden our hands. Playing any hand percussion, if you play anything, congas, you know what I'm saying, djembe, everything, it you know that you're going to develop calluses on your hands, and your hands harden like your bone density because your bones is constantly hitting the rim of the drum. And in life is a constant hand on the drum, like you constantly getting wore down, like you said, with the, like right now, brother, like, man, it's so real for so many people right now, to the point where, to be honest, you probably saved some people's lives just giving them a little nugget like that, explaining if a giraffe can do it, so can you. That, hey, look, you got this animal in nature that's very, very oblong shape, very at a disadvantage if you look at it. You know what I mean? And so vulnerable and gullible. I think I haven't read your book yet, but you know what I'm saying. When I do read it, I hope to find some of the other, like, because that's just the gist of it. Really, really conceptualizing that as one who studies nature. I study animals. I watch animals all the time. You know what I'm saying? Watching a nature show. So that right there, I really resonate with that because I see that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I wanted to, it was hard to not get into the technical aspects of the giraffe, because I didn't just write it off the top of my head. I watched documentaries on giraffes, man. It's like one of the least understood creatures in the animal kingdom, though it draws so much attention to it. They sleep alternating. One sits down to sleep, and the other one, they have to have these high density night vision cameras to document this stuff. And it was hard to write this because it's a short read, just purely to the inspirational side and not putting all of those facts inside of there, because the facts excited me. It's like, wow, this creature is something. Like you said, it's outlaw. It looks ginormous, but it's so fragile, which is us a lot of time. We have to put on this ginormous appearance, got it together, but we really fragile on the inside.
Absolutely. And that was it, Brother Kofi. I just wanted to comment on that real quick.
Oh, okay. Any brothers, they got anything else, man? We kind of winding down the show. We at the hour mark. I got about 2-3 more questions left. Anybody else got anything else? Before I move forward with the questions. Okay. Now, Brother Cliff, after coming up with your ideals, writing your chapters, editing your books, putting the books together, publishing it, what did you learn about yourself? Each publication, what did you learn about yourself after you completed your process? Completed the publication.
Man, I learned a lot about myself. The first thing I learned is I wasn't as organized. I'm an organized person, but I wasn't as organized as I thought when it came to writing. So I had to learn how to become dedicated and more organized. That as much as I talk, that writing and talking always translate the same. So I had to find that balance, in which I got better at doing that. So I learned, number one, is I wasn't as organized as I thought, and I needed to become better organized at doing it. Number two is I learned that writing is in me. I was never a big read. I'm one of those people, I read, but I don't grab like a 400-page book and just dive in. Like my man Sean's a bookworm. He eats books for breakfast and for dinner. That's not me. I dive in for the principles, but I learned to be a better reader. I learned that I need to read a little bit deeper and pay attention to, man, I was never reading anybody's introduction. I learned that I was a lazy reader when I started writing. It was like, you know what, hold on, man, I'm taking time to write an introduction. I wanted to read it. So if you look at my Get Back Up, you get to chapter 1. The first thing it tell you that if you didn't read the introduction, that you missed the opening. That was really a slight to myself. I learned that I was a lazy reader. I was just trying to get to the meat. Didn't want to let it build up. So I learned that I was a lazy reader. So not as organized as I thought, and that I was a lazy reader. That's the two main things I learned in this process.
Damn, man, you just with the lazy reader part, like I love reading books, man. All I do is buy books, man. And I'll be honest, I've been reading a long time, and been researching and all that type of stuff, and the books that I have read, I skip the introduction, I skip the prologues, I skip the forward, and I go straight to the chapters. And so I consider I just recently, and I'm be honest, I became an advocate reader and a researcher back in 2013, and up until 2020, until I actually started to write books, or we started to write books, is when I'm like, wow, now, I got to go back. When I'm reading, I have to read the introduction. I have to read the dedicated or the dedicated forward. I have to read the prologue, and like I said, I'll admit, I might say I'm a lazy reader too. I hate to say it, but I will. But now, it's very important, because the introduction sets up the book. And a lot of times, like I said, we all does that. We'll skip and go straight to the chapters, man. So the introduction, man, is very, very important, man. And I see y'all do some of the same things, like for us, like what we do, like with, Sean's my man. Keith, he's my man. And, I got introduced to you from Sean, and got introduced to Keith through Sean as well. And I just like, like what y'all doing. Y'all kind of doing like some of the same things like we're doing. Like we're giving people opportunities that may have never wrote anything before, and giving them an opportunity to write something. So if you look at our volume 1, we have 2 people that actually publish books in that one. I already have, but they wrote the dedicated forward and the forward. But the other books, we have people that has not written anything, and giving them an opportunity to write something down and be in a publication. And I see y'all kind of like doing the same things, where y'all helping each other out. You write the introduction, Sean write the prologue, or you will bring somebody else in, Sean brings somebody else in, because y'all believe in these certain people. So you know, and I like that aspect of giving people an opportunity, and we do it. So I think once people, and I know y'all probably doing the same thing, once they get in the door and they write something, and then you know they go to sticking their chest out because I'm a part of a publication that's out right now. That may motivate them, which is the goal, is to motivate and inspire them to venture off and write their own publication or create something of their own, man. So is that some of the same steps that y'all are taking with you and Sean? Because like I said, I love what y'all doing.
Oh man, look, that's at the end of the third thing I learned about myself is I'm a producer. My crew calls me Professor X, like from the X-Men, because that's where I operate best. I like to operate in the background and make things happen. I'm a hard critic. I like to bring out the best in people, and that's all I care about at the end of it. If I never write another book, I care about getting other people to write, and I want their book to come out high quality, refined. That's what I care about the most. I'm doing book covers left and right, editing, consulting. That's what I care about more than anything, man. So putting other people on the map, that's the only thing that matters to me at the end of the day. I do my own. I'll write my own book in my spare time whenever I have spare time. But most importantly is how many people can we give a professional author's image to and make their reality come to life for them. That way they can live that. Can we encourage them to want to write another book because we published them or produced them so well? That's the main focus for me. So that's what we're doing on the team, is that. And I handle that from a business perspective. I'm a harsh critic. I'm hard about it. It's because I care about them and I want them to last. I don't want to be no one-hit wonder.
Okay. And you edit you do editing too, Brother Cliff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I didn't know you did the editing part.
Yeah,
too,
I do proofreading and some heavy editing. Most people can't afford ghostwriting. I'll write, but the last time I quoted somebody, her husband, she booked it, and the bill was high. I can tell. I would just tell it to you. The bill was like $9,000 for the type of book she wanted to do, and she was all on board with it. But her husband said, "Man, you can't spend that kind of money on no project. You got to do this yourself." But it was basically a ghostwriting deal. I'm writing the whole book. I'm writing the activist book, so that's different. But I'll do that if I have to. But other than that, I like to look at the flow, look at the audience, make sure that it's coming across correctly without robbing the author's voice too. That's another big thing for me. So that's why I'm involved in the editing a lot of time. I want to figure out how to make sure that you're communicating correctly to your audience and keeping your personality involved in that book at the same time.
Okay. Yes, man, that's all right. I definitely didn't know that, man. I didn't know you was doing the editing process, man. Man, I guess I got one more question then, man. Kenyon, I ask this to every author that comes on to the show, man. Can you give any advice or any good advice to any up and coming writer, author, producer, creator?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna say this is the first piece is do your homework, study your craft. Don't just jump in there and just I'm gonna figure it out when I get out there. There's too many people that have done this before you. Technology gives you access to people you never had access before. Study your craft, learn from them, and don't just flail in creating and producing and trying to figure out. Ask questions. The best thing I can tell anybody is every time you talk to somebody, your favorite word should be I don't know, and let people pour into you, and then you take that. Next part is then make it your own. You don't have to replicate what everybody's doing, but take that knowledge and make it your own. And the last one is try to make that thing as professional. Whatever you do it with excellence. Don't just do it just to say you did it. Oh, I have a book. Oh, I got a company. I got that. Don't do that. We have the market is diluted with people that are doing that. Do everything you do with excellence. If you got to take a little bit longer, put a little bit of work, more work, spend a little bit more money, do that, but make sure that you know that you give 110% in anything that you do.
No doubt, man. And especially with the part of you don't have to copy a replica of someone else when you're learning from them, and that's the main thing. I was having a conversation like we're not trying to be like everybody else. We're not trying.
Right.
We don't. Our books and even with that, like I said, I'm an advocate reader, so I read a lot. So a lot of different authors, they have like their own styles, but certain people want us, okay, it got to be scholarly, it's got to be, you know, of course it's got to be scholarly, but I'm not sure, and they want to look like these certain books, you know, they want to look like this certain way. That's how they did it, you know. So we and a lot of different authors, like if Dr. Ben's books was, his style was different. His writing styles, even the formats and how his books look. John Henry Clark, the same way. Aisha Hill, all they had their own different way on how they did their things, you know. And so every book doesn't have to look the same. And then a lot of people now are starting to reject other books because they don't look like a particular book that they say is scholarly. So you're supposed to write like this. Your book is supposed to be formatted like this. Your book is supposed to look like this. No. So we're not trying to look like anybody else. So, you know, our style is different. Even when I look at your books, I look like I can tell who wrote this book. You know, I can tell by the style, the writing style. I can tell how the book put together, how it's formatted, you know. And that's like the same way with us. Our books is formatted and put together a same type of work. That's how we do it. You know, we're not trying to look like nobody else. And I see y'all have y'all own style. Like I said, I can look at you and Sean's book now, and I can tell, okay, what, you know, I know y'all, you know, you wrote the book, and possibly even, you know, I see you have a few other people that you help publish, that you sell books on your website as well. And probably y'all follow that same style because y'all have that same style. So I know, okay, well, this may comes from out of Lafayette, Louisiana. It may come from out of your company. So, you know, be original. You know, you don't have to look like everybody else. So be original. So,
and that's part of marketing, man. That's the branding aspect that a lot of people are scared of. Is find your voice and your brand and stick to it and be consistent. What you just said, it was the aim when we started. I said we're going to find our brand, our voice, and we're going to be consistent. That way, I want somebody to be look at it and say, "Oh, we know who that is." And we've accomplished that with a lot of people. When I do a book cover, no matter who it's for, people say Cliff did that. I can tell that's Cliff's style, and that's what we want. And I think every author should find that, and it doesn't have to necessarily subscribe to somebody's. This is exactly how you do it. My key is learn the rules and then bend them to fit the way you want them to fit.
That's a fact. So y'all hear that. You know, you know, be an originator. Your book doesn't have to look like someone else's book. Be an originator. Find your own lane. That's what we got. We got our own lane. So, you know, when people look at, okay, they know, okay, this comes from out of the Kofi Piesie Research Team and the Master Board. You're playing the same thing, like you said, Cliff, with like yours. They know exactly who did what, you know, so we're not going to let nobody define, you know, us as a writing group and say, hey, this is how your books is supposed to be looking. We found our lane. We found out how we want to create it. So now people, when they go and look, they'll know exactly who wrote what, man. But that's all, man. We try not to let the show be over an hour and a half. We're an hour and 12 minutes into the show. Again, man, I appreciate. Let me stroll up. Let me see if anybody got any questions or anything. If they don't have any questions, man, we'll close out the show. They just chopping it up in here. We must determine the narrative. Does Cliff? Okay, here I see one here. Let me see if this is a question. Okay, this is Annette, surname Bruce, and excuse me if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Does Cliff Roy still own his own publishing? And if he hires a publisher, will there be a problem if he needs to take the material to publish it elsewhere? So
I have copyright. I have documented copyright for my books. So I use the self-publishing companies. I mean, you can choose who you want. Look, there's just different price points. Barnes & Noble has self-publishing aspects. Amazon has it. Lulu has it. BookBaby has it. At the end of the day, all I'm using them for is printing. I'm doing all of the work, and to secure yourself is you want to get your copyright. I tell people, everybody's not going to need a copyright because intellectual property laws protect you. But what I did, because I was dealing with Lulu for the marketing aspect, I actually paid to get my book copyrighted. So I actually got that document from copyright.gov saying that my book is copyrighted. So I could take it wherever I want. It belongs to me.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So and definitely, yeah, that's a fact. Hold on, let me see if the challenge you're putting all Black publishers and authors on a central web page, so they all almost. That's not a question. So I think that's the only question, man, that we had. Everybody else is, saying great information, and that's what we try to do, man. It's like I said, we try to make it a learning process and try to talk about the different steps and the processes and publishing versus publishing, introductions, and prologue. What is those different things, man? But again, man, Sutek, man, I see you on the panel, man. You got anything, man? I don't know how long you've been on the panel, on the panel waiting. I just seen you in here, man. But you got anything, brother Satepara, man? He must have walked away from the computer, man. But again, man, we greatly. Go ahead, Satep.
Oh no, I just wanted to say peace, man. I'm just now getting in, man. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch this one, but yeah, peace.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you've been missing this the second show, Satep, with the we started a new thing, Cliff, rapid fire. And we added that segment in, and we only did it one time because my guy that created the segment, I can't get him. I can't.
You're not firing, man.
No, it's all good, man. But again, man, appreciate, man, you for again, man, coming on, man, and sharing, man, your experience, sharing some great information with us and some great information with the listening audience. Because again, man, we are new authors ourselves. Like I said, we only been writing books for the last 8 to 10 months, and so it's still a learning process for us as well because we don't know it all. So each author that we bring on to author's perspective, man, we are also learning. We're learning too, and we're also learning, by trial and error. Hey, we can't do that no more. Go ahead.
This is the one tip I want to give every author, new or old, self-publishing or going to a publisher. Rule number 1: finish your manuscript. Write your manuscript. Don't talk about anything until you have written your manuscript, man. That's the number one thing. That right there is going to speak volumes for how much you want to put into your book, is to finish your manuscript, because we found that's a common thing right now. I want to write a book. I got a book, ain't finished the manuscript, so we can't really do nothing with that. So my advice to every author, wannabe author, just start writing until you can't write no more. Finish your manuscript, and then you take it to the next level.
Right. And that's like some good advice because everybody gives the same thing. Just do it. Just start it. Right. So just start, family. Just start writing it. Refer back to some of these videos. We go a little bit depth in some shows. Just start writing. But again, man, I want to say peace to everybody that was listening, and watching on Facebook, that was watching on YouTube, man. We greatly appreciate you. Appreciate those that may be watching it later on in the archive. We greatly appreciate you. Again, y'all could have been doing anything else with y'all time, but y'all tuned in to listen to what we had to say, so that doesn't go unnoticed. So we greatly appreciate you. Brother Cliff, man, we greatly appreciate you again for coming on to the platform, because I know time is valuable. I know your time is valuable, man. So we definitely appreciate that, man. Hold on.
Pleasure being here.
And if you got any final words, man, before we end, man, you can go ahead.
Hey, man, I just want to tell anybody who's a creator, author, publisher, just be encouraged. Don't be scared to connect to people who are willing to share information with you, collaborate, put your heads together, hold each other accountable. At the end of the day, it's a great time to do what we're doing. We have to make sure that we are publicizing who we are from our perspectives and getting it out there. It's not only great to do it, man, it's also therapeutic for us. So keep writing.
And also tell them, Cliff, how can they reach you? Give them all your social media, your websites and other stuff.
So you can reach me at my website is www.penpublishingagency.com. You could find me on Instagram and on Facebook under Pen Publishing Agency. both of those. And of course, I have my Cliff, official Cliff TV on Instagram as well, to my personal page, which I do a lot of talking there sometimes to share my life. So you can find me in there. A worst comes to worst, you can Google me. If you Google my company, you're going to find my business and reviews and everything that I do. So you can find very, very easy to find.
Yes, sir. And again, for those that may be trying to, start a business, or even, even when you're doing you're trying to create a brand, which, and create whatever you're trying to create, or, create your books, your publications, hit Brother Cliff's up. Again, he's a one-stop shop. Like I said, we had to go through a lot of different people, to get what we had to get done. But his company, is a one-stop shop, and all his information is the bottom of his screen. His website, his like page for his company is on Facebook. It's down at the bottom. His personal Facebook page, his Instagram, Mrs. and his publications. The links is down at the bottom. The links for the Amazon. So go hit him up, man. Y'all patronize his business, man. For you business owners, you entrepreneurs, you up and coming writers, or people that's trying to get some artwork done, book covers done, some logos for their businesses, editing. His company does it all. So hit him up. Also get both his publications. Again, they are on Amazon.com, and they are in Barnes and Nobles and Books A Million. Again, I want to say peace, Black African Power. We appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all next time on Arthur's Perspective. Peace.
Peace.